right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the 22 show by SaaS 22, where we talk about all things SaaS, AI, partnerships, and technology. I'm Tejas Kinga, your host, and today we have with us someone who has more than a decade and a half of experience in the partnership space, a veteran, if you could call it that, Isaac Betanzos. So, Isaac, you've worn a lot of hats through your entire career. And before we jump into the world of SaaS and partnerships and what you do at Deal, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what you've done so far?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, thank you very much for having me and inviting me to this podcast. Very happy to be here. I'm very excited to talk about partnerships in general. It's something that I'm very passionate about, as you can imagine, dedicating so much time to it. You made me feel very old now. But let me explain you a bit of my background as well, very briefly. Actually, in an academic background, I studied something very different to what I do nowadays as my full-time employment. I studied psychology to a master's degree level, but nonetheless, obviously, a lot of the skills that I learned there, I have transferred into my day-to-day life and job for sure. I even published 3 books on quantum psychology as well. And although I'm originally from Spain, I currently live in Dubai. So I have lived all over the place in 5 different countries, including Thailand, UK, Czech Republic, and I have visited almost 100. So you can imagine how happy I am always to know people from very different backgrounds, very different cultures that open my own mindset, and how important that has been also in my career with partnerships to better understand and be able to establish partnerships in, say, 6 different continents as well, right? And yeah, and every time I can as well with my spare time, the one that I have, I do like to cooperate with some NGOs as well that talk about empowerment, coaching, mentoring of young people. So I have done this in 3 different continents as well. So nowadays I'm more inclined as well into the coaching and mentoring side of things on top of my partnerships career.
Wow, that is quite the trajectory that you've had, and it's been a very interesting journey that you've made, starting from psychology to partnerships and being an author as well in between. So why don't we talk about some of these pivotal moments in your career that have shaped how you approach partnerships today?
So, as many people that end up working on partnerships, my career started actually on direct sales. And after a few years doing pretty much everything on the direct sales side, especially working on technology, so that is business development, account management, account executive, negotiating, closing deals, etc., etc. Slowly but surely, I started to work on roles that somehow involve working with partners as well. So, to do some of the deals, I needed to go through partners, and then I started to build my partner relationship skills. And so after, I realized that I really like that dynamic. Even if it makes the deal more complex, it also made my job much more successful and much more effective when I was working on direct sales. So it definitely caught my attention on the way of, oh, maybe this is something that I want to do in my career. And then when I had the opportunity to jump into a full-time role in partnerships, I didn't think twice. And ever since, I have been working mainly and only on full partnership related roles and in the indirect sales.
Got it. Got it. Now, a lot of our audience is partnership leaders. And one thing that they're always interested in is learning from their peers and learning through people who've kind of been there, done that. So, what would you say is your approach to leadership style when it comes to building and managing partnerships?
So first and foremost, I will say that the foundation is built on understanding who your partner is. My understanding is not just what they do for a business, but even how they approach the go-to-market. What is the incentive for the sales team or customer-facing team in general? How is the person that you are talking to going to get compensated through this relationship as well? So really trying to understand what is going to motivate them to work with you. And then from there, try to build a solid foundation in those cases where it makes sense. Again, we all know, especially if we work in partnerships, not all partnerships will be successful or we will be able to activate, but especially working on that alignment from the very start.
Got it. Got it. And I'm sure because of your vast expertise in your background, some of these core principles would have evolved through the years as well. So, what are these core principles that have guided your approach towards partnership development, and how would you say they've evolved over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. I think over the years, you become more self aware and you understand better what kind of dynamics and type of partner is going to work better with your current organization and with your current programs that you are able to run. You will always find partners that seem very promising when you
Mhm.
just start, that translate into nothing. But I think over the years, you learn more to understand okay, this is the exact type of partner that I'm looking for. This is what really works for us in the stage of our ecosystem. Let's find out their partners that align with this. And let's find out their partners that we can bring that value as well to them, because otherwise they will not be very motivated to work with us anyway. So I think that has been reshaped more and more over the years for sure.
Got it. Now, as someone who's still, relatively new to this space, though, I think this is something that I've kind of come to understand as well. In fact, I think internally, one of the things that we do while we are drawing out a ideal partner profile matrix is look at that willingness, ability, all of these factors before actually zeroing in on a potential partner. Now, looking at your profile, one of the first things that I thought of, which I figured, someone like you would be best for our listeners to talk about, is why do most partnerships in SaaS fail and how do we fix them? So let's jump right into that and let's understand from you what are some of the key ingredients that you think are important for building a successful SaaS partnership?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of failure, everyone who has worked on partnership has been in that situation where they have worked very hard on signing a partnership, right? You are very excited about it. In paper, is going to be the partnership that is going to revolutionize the company revenue stream and everything around the business, right? You even go to your manager super excited saying, this is it. This is the one we get retired with. And then 6 months down the line, you see that nothing has happened out of that partnership, right? It's super frustrating. You don't really know where it went wrong. Everything seems so clear. In my opinion, in those occasions, most of the time, the main core factor that made that failure is because misalignment on communicating the expectations from the very beginning. So not being able to, again, really align on that and say, hey, this is what we want from you. Tell us what you want from us so that this partnership is also very strategic for you. Because it's very important that a partnership is strategic for your own company. But unless you can figure out how to be strategic for the partner that you have in front, then it will be extremely difficult that the partnership fulfills that potential simply because the other side will not be that motivated to work with you. And that's a very tough mountain to climb.
Right. And now we touched upon this briefly just before, but could you maybe walk us through what is your philosophy or your criteria to identifying the right partners? And what do you think are some of the most crucial things that one should not miss during this evaluation process?
From my side, I will say that one key ingredient, other than what we have already discussed, is seeing the job role of the person that is your main point of contact. Meaning, if you are talking, for example, with the sales director of the company or an account executive in that company, chances are that the only and primary motivation for that partner, for that person, is how much business you're going to bring to them, right? Which is a direct conflict with your own KPI, which is how much business you're going to bring from them, right? And you're talking to a person that really is not on the target usually to be talking to their clients about partners and potential and alignments, etc., unless there is a very clear upselling case by doing so for them, right? Unless it's very clear that your services truly complement and enhance their services into doing one sales motion, it will be extremely difficult. So I will say it's very important. Are you talking to a partnership person first and foremost? What are the KPIs that this person that you're talking to has, right? Are they going to be truly motivated to also work with you on initiatives that are going to bring business both sides? And or are they just looking you to bring business to them? So again, aligning those expectations from the beginning and understanding where the time is invested on the person that you have in front of you probably will save you a lot of headaches later on.
Got it. Got it. Now, this is all, sort of great to do before kind of jump into a partnership. But there are times, let's say, when you've already established a partnership, but things aren't working out. Let's say this alignment of expectations hasn't been reached, but do you, in your mind, have a strategy wherein, or an example even of a turnaround that can ever be achieved at such kind of a stage, and then the partnership can go on to achieve a significant success?
So in my current role, I'm talking a bit more about dealing. My current role,
Mhm.
the partner growth program at in EMEA, is actually exactly that. So trying to activate partners in the region that we understand has a potential to do a lot more with us, but for whichever reason, they haven't delivered that potential yet. Okay. So when I'm engaging with these, let's call it dormant partners that we have in our radar, and I'm having the first conversation with them, the first thing I'm trying to understand is that, okay, we did have some interaction in the past. We did have some momentum for a brief moment. It's just that they didn't continue. Understanding why it didn't continue. Is it because they changed the team structure? Is it because we promised to deliver something for them that we weren't able to do after? Is it because they overestimated the amount of cases that they will need where we could be working together, et cetera, et cetera? And then from there, trying to understand how do they do the go-to-market. Okay? So when I'm talking to my point of contact, I'm asking them, okay, are you guys, how do you communicate with your audience? Are you communicating more top of the funnels, such as a newsletter or email campaign, LinkedIn posts, things like that? Are you communicating more bottom of the funnel? So are you going after bigger companies that require a lot more personalization and one-on-one emails and very targeted audience, et cetera, et cetera? And then based on that, I try to adapt what we can offer to help them on that go-to-market, from top of the funnel campaigns kind of things with our support to more connecting different teams or doing a joint pitch if it's something more targeted and more bottom of the funnel. So understanding how they do their go-to-market and how they are communicating with their audience, and then identifying within your program resources that you can offer what is going to adapt better to them to help them as well.
Got it. Now, I'm going to go a little off script here, but in some cases, there may be a time when no matter how hard you've tried to fix the partnership, things just aren't working out. In that case, as a leader, you may have to take the call to pull the plug on that partnership. How do you go about that amicably?
Absolutely. I mean, it happens. It's always going to happen. The same that you, as a partner, maybe sometimes cannot deliver all the value that maybe the other party was expecting from you, right? For no fault of your own. So I think the first and foremost concept to have clear when you have to communicate in a slightly harsher way with a partner is to always keep the door open. You know, things change, teams change, strategies change. We know the SaaS world nowadays change pretty much from one day to another. We all know all the processes and priorities in a business can be updated very quickly. So always remember to keep that door open, and always remember from time to time to add value to the partners in any capacity that you can. So for example, something that I like to do, even with those partners with who we didn't identify imminent synergies and connection and momentum right now after I have spoken with them, I still like to send them some resources, some free resources that we have available for our partner ecosystem from time to time. So maybe once a month, I will send them an email and say, hey, here is, we have this new guide for hiring in this country, for example. Just wanted to share with you. There you go. So that they still remember you, simply so that when they have a business opportunity where you can contribute and you can add value to their conversation, your name is going to be the first one that comes to their mind, and you can be sure that they will reach out to you. So from time to time, every time I have been doing this, every month, one, two, three partners that have never really engaged with me will come back to me saying, actually, now we have this opportunity. Actually, now is a better time to retake this partnership or whatever it is. And then the momentum starts again.
That's a wonderful way, and thank you so much for taking this off-script question. Now, one thing that you mentioned here, which is creating value, which is a nice segue for me to take my next question for you, which is now partnerships. I mean, that's in the very core to the word partnerships itself is something that's mutual. Right? You have two or more parties, and there is a mutual interest, there is a mutual value that needs to be created out of it, which is why the partnership kind of exists. So, how do you create that mutual value in a partnership?
Very good question. Usually that will require you aligning with other internal departments and building bridges, for example, with your marketing team, with your direct sales team, with your product marketing team, etc., etc. Because often that value, that intrinsic value that you can bring continuously to your partners is not going to come directly from something that you can generate or from a resource that you can generate, but mostly from these other departments, right? So finding synergies, finding whatever availability they can have in the roadmap to add value to your own ecosystem is super important. So for example, here at Deal, we work a lot with our marketing team and we create different gated assets or resources that our partners are able to use from the scratch. So instead of the partners creating certain material themselves or using AI to create this material, we provided this for them and they are ready to be co-branded and ready to be shared with their audience. And this is a win-win, very easy to do for both, very easy to sell, and very low lift from us once that material has been created, because basically it can be reused pretty much for every partner, right? So finding those internal resources, building those internal relationships to be able to add value to your ecosystem is key to do that.
Got it. Now, one thing that we also talked about, which is the evolving nature of SaaS partnerships, right? And just the fact that how competitive the whole SaaS world itself has become. So, in this ever evolving, extremely competitive SaaS landscape, how do you believe that one should differentiate their partnership program or their partnership strategy to stay ahead?
Absolutely. I mean, in the era where AI has made it way too easy to create a generic email and send it to 1,000 people, I believe that more and more in the upcoming years, to do enterprise B2B sales is going to depend a lot more of who can introduce you to that prospect. Even my email inbox gets flooded with unwanted, unsolicited emails that I have no physical time to read or even see. And I don't even know if they actually bring value to me, could bring value to me, because I don't have the time to be reading all that, right? So more and more, all that outbounding strategy, unfortunately or fortunately, is dying out. And I believe partnership will become more and more relevant. And those relationships that you build, again, based always not just on what you can get from the partner, but mostly what can you bring to your partner, because then the alignment will be there, and then those partners will always be a lot more willing to help you achieving your own KPIs or your own business goals, internal business goals through partners. So that's the main change that I'm seeing in the upcoming years when it comes to partnerships. And for that, yes, you need to build honest partnerships with aligned expectations from the beginning, and yeah, making sure that you're bringing value both ways.
So now what I'm trying to understand or what I'm trying to gauge from what you've said so far is that this is something that has to be a high touch engagement so that you're maintaining that quality of the relationship. But that also brings me to another challenge that you would see now. High touch models definitely work well when you are working on a slightly smaller scale. But as your business grows, as the number of partners that you have grows, you would perhaps need to move a little beyond that high touch engagement to keep scaling it effectively. So, what do you feel is the sort of best pathway to scaling partnerships without losing the quality of these relationships?
To scale partnerships and your ecosystem, you need as well the help of technology and the help of a great team to help you do that. Again, I think at that stage, you probably are looking into more specialized roles within the team as well. So, not just someone that can wear all the hats within the partnership team, but it's when you start to look for a partner marketing person, for example, or a program leader that can take care more of the benefits, rewards, and the whole KPIs for the partnership, the infrastructure that runs behind the scene as well. Other roles as well as more dedicated, not just by region, but also maybe by type of partner managers. So some of them dedicated more to channel, reseller, and similar partnerships, other more for technology partners, mutual referral partners, whatever it is. So leveraging that richment or skills, variety of skill within your team, I think is fundamental for that scale up, for that expanding of the ecosystem fastly. Obviously, replicating and aligning on what are the resources, what is the program like, what is the partner journey, so it can be very much similar across the board. That's also super important, because the last thing you want is that one partner experiences your ecosystem in a very different way than another partner only because they are in a different region, for example. So having those internal communication channels and information available for everyone in the team to understand what is the standard to follow as well.
Got it. Now, I think you've almost answered my next question, but I would love to hear from you as a leader, someone who's built these partnership teams across different organizations, as you so beautifully articulated in the sense of what your partnership team structure should start looking like as your organization grows. What are some of the things that you look for when you are hiring for a team that's looking at partnerships?
So I will say, obviously, depends what type of partnership role you are hiring for. Are you looking more for a hunter type of profile, or are you looking more for a farmer type of profile? So is it more to activate first-time partners or evaluate them, qualify them, etc., and get them signed up, or are you looking more for someone to manage partners that are already signed, established, and it's just making sure that they are performing, making sure that they are growing consistently with your business, right? In that sense, ideally someone that comes from a partnership background. I will say I don't think many times organizations realize how much of a difference there is in a profile, in a person's skills and experience, if it has worked just in direct sales compared to someone who has actually worked on partnerships. Okay. I think many times it's still misunderstood, less and less every day, but it's still sometimes misunderstood and think, well, someone that has done direct sales, business development can definitely do partners. It's much easier to do partnerships than to do account executive or business development. I wouldn't say whether it's easier or more difficult. I guess it will depend on the company, etc. But it's definitely a different set of skills. It is saying that someone that has done direct sales doesn't mean that is necessarily equipped to do marketing, for example. It's a different set of skills that some of them can be transferred for sure. Again, I came from direct sales myself. So, but it requires as well some training that the person stepping into that. When you are hiring a person that has only that type of experience, you need to be aware that you're going to have to upskill that person to adapt to the new role, because otherwise maybe that person will not perform as well as you expected, or as well as that person is used to perform in the previous role. And it's not necessarily only the fault of that person. It may be that you neglected a bit as well the training and upskilling to that person into the new role.
Got it. Now, one of the things that you talked about both in this, your previous answer and as well as just before that was also, let's say there are certain partners who may be in different regions. So the way you approach the two of them might not exactly be the same. There has to be some amount of difference in the strategy, and that would come through some amount of, let's say, learning from each other within the team, etc. So, how do you make sure that there is this constant collaboration that's happening? Learning is being passed on within the team, and how are you always on top of the innovation curve, if I can call it that, for partnership teams?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having regular meetings with your key stakeholders within the company is super important. Having different communication channels. I don't know if you use Slack or something similar to have those conversations open. So when it's needed, you know who you need to reach out to, and having as well internal knowledge base that is available for everyone to look, and that makes your onboarding of new team members much easier as well, because it's not that you have to manually transfer that knowledge every time you onboard someone. They can be more self-sufficient and go there and upskill themselves directly, and then you can help with whatever aspects specifically they need more help with. But I will say that's definitely the key aspect there, that internal communication, having those, especially in a world where more and more you work remotely. For example, Deal has over 6,000 employees and we all work remotely. So you can imagine how important it is for us to be able to stay connected, to have efficient communication streams internally and between departments, to make sure that nothing gets lost between the cracks. So that would be my recommendation.
Got it. Now, this is great for your internal team, right? Of within your pod, people are kind of, learning from each other, and there is this constant flow of information. But partnerships is also a function that involves collaborating with multiple departments. This could be sales, this could be marketing, product, customer success, you name it. Partnerships has their finger in almost every pie. So, what are some of the most common challenges that you might be facing in terms of communicating across departments, ensuring everyone is aligned? And how do you think companies or partnership teams should be working towards overcoming these?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, luckily, I feel that challenges are changing over the years. But if you ask me these questions 5, 6 years ago, I will tell you that misunderstanding of what the partnership function is within a go-to-market organization that comes from the top level, from the CEO, probably even of the company, that misunderstanding of what is the realistic value that a partnership program can bring will have been my biggest challenge. And I tell you why, because again, less and less now, but back 5, 6 years ago, I felt that many CEOs, for example, or CROs that I was working with, they didn't really understand how partnership worked. They thought it was a mirror of direct sales. And they thought, well, if you sign a partnership, they're saying that the funnel for direct sales is, for example, 3 months, then I'm expecting that, from the moment you talk to a partner in 3 months, we're going to get revenue, right? How much revenue are you committing to? And they didn't understand that there is two different funnels that you do for partnerships. One is for signing and onboarding and activating the partner. The other one is for attracting the revenue from that partner, which is a completely different funnel and is mirrored than the one from the direct sales. So understanding and managing those expectations internally, understanding as well what are the expectations from higher management that this function needs to bring to the organization, and then managing those expectations as much as you can. If you see it's not realistic, if you see you have a higher management that is saying, well, you're going to sign 5 partners within 1 month, and in 2 months you're generate 1 million, right? That's how partnership works. You sign a partnership, and that's like an ATM printing money machine, right? It's the same. So aligning on that. Nowadays, less so. I think CEOs more and more fully understanding how partnership work. And nowadays, for that internal communication, I will say it's more continuously, often repeating yourself in the way of you need to evangelize what partnerships are. You need to show the direct sales team how we can help them moving forward their own deals. You need to be remembering them, hey, here to help. We have a very rich ecosystem that can help you hit your own KPIs. Let's leverage it together, etc., etc. Many times you will have to repeat yourself simply because often you will find that some AEs or salespeople still haven't had that much experience working with partnerships yet, and they simply don't understand how much value they can get out of that. And it's your job as a partners manager, as much as it is to communicate externally with your ecosystem to get the value from them, also communicate internally. That's the other half of your job, to make sure that your company and every peer that is within your sphere of influence understands the value that you can bring to them.
Got it. Now, we've talked a little bit about how the partnerships have evolved over the years, what you as a partner manager currently do today. But a lot of our listeners, a lot of our readers are still people who've just about jumped into their careers in the partnership space. So, looking ahead at the future, especially in this post AI world, if I can call it that, right? How do you see partnerships looking forward in the immediate future? And what skills do you think should up and coming people in this partnership space be equipping themselves with?
I mean, there's no denying AI is everywhere, right? And partnership world is not going to be any difference from it. Okay. The way I see it, the way AI is developing nowadays, and it's still very hard to comprehend where it can get in 5 years' time, for example. But the way I see is that AI is going to take over the jobs that were very easy to do or very repetitive. So think about your admin jobs, think about your standard qualification jobs, things like that. They're going to be taken probably over by AI in most sectors, and especially in technology. The jobs that until now were somewhat difficult or normal difficulty, then will become the easy jobs to do, because again, with the help of AI, the jobs that were difficult to do, then they're going to become the normal jobs on difficulty level to do. And the jobs that were impossible to do until now, thanks to AI, probably they will become the difficult jobs to do. Okay. So my recommendation, obviously, and I'm not a genius or discovering something here, upskill yourself on AI, start understanding which tools are going to be here to stay and how you can leverage that into freeing up time from your own calendar so that you can use all that time more efficiently and bringing more value to the company.
Got it. Now, you mentioned the word upskilling. Now, you've been in this space for some time. You are a mentor and coach yourself. So I'm sure there are certain resources, maybe certain communities that you have come across which provide some high quality learning resources, especially when it comes to continuous development in this field. To aspiring partner leaders, do you have any names off the top of your head?
I mean, I think, or I hope that most of the audience already know about partnership leaders. If not, go and check them out. They are a great community that have great events in certain cities throughout the year, and you can get a ton of value from them for sure. I will also recommend, obviously, depending on which city you are living on, have a look in your local or within your area, driving distance, public transport distance, wherever it is. Which other events can you attend that are network oriented events? Again, it doesn't have to be necessarily just partnership oriented. It can be software oriented. It can be sales oriented. It can be whatever it is your interest. Go there and network with people in person. Because, and as much as you can as well, go and visit your partners in person as well. I try every quarter, to, at least once per quarter, to travel somewhere in the world where I have a lot of partners and then try to meet as many as I can in person, even if we haven't done anything yet with that partner. Okay, even if we are still on a very early stage, or even if they have been ignoring my emails for a while, etc., etc. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I have done that. I have shake hands and see the person face to face, and I have got first a much better understanding of what is the potential of the partnership, and second, the kind of rapport that you can build in that one session in person is probably equivalent to 3 months of back and forth online email with the floating heads, right? So I will recommend that. Try to meet people in person. They will really appreciate it that you make the effort to do that. And as well, yeah, look at what communities are out there near you physically or maybe online, like partnership leaders that you can enroll to and get value from as well.
Absolutely. This is one thing I'm 100% on the same page as you are. So I've been a member of partnership leaders as well. Absolutely can attest the amount of learning and resources that you get out of that community and just how upfront and helpful everyone is. It's absolutely great. And same with events too. And like you said, it just doesn't have to be a partnership related event. It could be any event in the technology space, in the SaaS space. It's great to always go out there, meet people. You don't know who you will meet where, and what are the kind of ideas that you will get out of it, or what are the kind of relationships that you will build out of it. Every meeting doesn't have to be transactional. You could always get something very different from it. This brings me to my last question for you, which is a super fun question. I always love to put people on the hot seat for this, but it turns out in this case you are quite an accomplished author by yourself. So maybe what we'll do is before we jump into the question, I'd love to have you talk about your books, and then you can go on to tell us what are maybe some of the top five either books or podcasts or any other resources that you have come across that have helped shape your career journey.
Absolutely. I mean, weird thing. I am an author, a published author. When it comes to reading books, I don't read that many full books, to be honest. I am a person that likes more to absorb information that comes from different sources. So I trying to learn a skill or learn about a topic, I always try to read one point of view and the opposite point of view and try to take some takeaways from both sides. Recommending books, I really enjoyed reading. One of the books that I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think that's obviously a masterpiece when it comes to sales and the financial independent mindset altogether. I'm trying Blitz Scaling was another one that I read that is quite good as well to understand what can make your company in software unique. And then when it comes to podcasts, I like Diary of a CEO. Again, I'm not gonna be super original. I do listen to a couple, but again, not the full episodes, but parts of it that are more partner or technology sales oriented. I do enjoy listening to some very renowned professionals in the industry, what they have done and what they recommend. So always stay up to date on that for sure. And when it comes to talk about my books, they are all around one way or another around the topic of quantum psychology, which as I say is my passion, one of my passions for sure. When it comes to talk about consciousness, the limits of the mindset, the limits of life itself, and the most existential questions. As long as I have memory, I was always asking to my parents the weirdest questions about existentialism. So I have always been a big fan, and then I studied psychology and I did my master's on research methods. And over, I will say, 15 to 20 years, I spent a good amount of time educating myself on different topics from quantum physics, obviously, radiation, biocentrism, different religions, including Buddhism. Yeah, all the kind of chakras, energy healing, you name it. I was always trying to find a compelling theory that help me understand why life, how we experience, is the way it is, why our consciousness is the way it is, why the universe is the way it is. Okay. I never found a compelling enough theory because from one side I saw the truth on it, and then from other side it was kind of science fiction sometimes. maybe didn't fully explain the picture. And over the years, I started to put the pieces together until, yeah, about 5, 6 years ago, just before COVID, I felt that I was ready to write a book on my own, trying to explain and compile all that information together. So I wouldn't say so much that I discovered something, it's more that I try to put together a more holistic perspective, coming from all the perspective that I have been educating myself from the previous 15 to 20 years. Okay. And that's how the concept of quantum psychology came, which very simply put, obviously is much more complex than this, but it says that there is a part of our consciousness, a small part, not a big part, but a small part of our consciousness, of our own self existence, soul, energy, however you want to call it, that is based on the rule and is ruled by the rules of the quantum physics world, of the micro atoms particles world, and not by the rules of the macroscopic Newtonian laws that we experience the rest of the time, where time is linear, present, past, future, etc., etc. If you know a bit about quantum physics, then you will know time and space doesn't apply when you are talking about the smallest
Yeah.
atom, about the biggest aspect of the universe. And I think there is a part of our consciousness that is based on those rules. And when you assume that, then you unblock a lot of potential, because then you realize why certain things that we experience happen. And then you realize as well, wow, maybe I have a lot more potential that I'm not self aware about, because I was paying too much attention normally and logically just to the biological aspect of my existence, and not so much to the essential aspect of my existence. And that's a bit the backbone of quantum psychology.
Fascinating. Very, very fascinating indeed. Thank you so much, Isaac, for being here with us. Been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I can't wait to turn this into a podcast. I can't wait to turn this into a blog and share it with our listeners, readers, and have them come back to us with questions, have them engage with us on this, and also hopefully walk away with some learnings that you've been able to give us. Been a real pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you very much again for inviting me. I really enjoy talking about these topics. As I said, I'm from Spain, so I could be speaking for hours, no problem for me. Really appreciate it. And yeah, looking forward to continue working with you guys. It's been amazing.
Absolutely. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.